Alex, does my voice sound okay? I'm not sure if I need to alter some things, and preferably not have it picking up every single time I click my mouse. Sure thing. Does this sound any better? I'm not sure what sort of thing I should be aiming for on these little sliders yet. Excellent. Okay, well, let's see if we can get started. I am going to be stepping into the game. I can't actually see Twitch chat while I'm doing it, but I've got Discord open on my phone. So if you write anything there, I can see it. So here we have our characters. We got Aino the Minotaur Barbarian, your character Nosferatu the Rattling Rogue, Azanaka Trejo, that's Lupus's Lizardman Alchemist, and Zimboy, Pete's Insectoid Wizard. Let's get started. I kind of forgot how long that first initial load is. But this way I got to introduce the characters. And there we have it, that's how we came to the island. We were 4 unlucky sods in a prison ship of some sort, and a magical storm or other, well, something magical, made us run aground here. This is the Isle of Nex. First things first, let's get out of here. So, this plays like the first Grimrock if you know what that is. In that the 4 of us are all essentially chained together, it's grid-based movement. Down here, I can click on the individual hands of the people, check our inventory, we're all, well, naked. Rocks. Rocks are the absolute most important thing in the entire game, and you will always cherish them. But also the first throwing weapon. And with that said, because I know the game inside out, I don't know the game inside out, I thought there was a secret around there. Must be the next beach. And this is also quite important, because as you can see we have a food meter. Food doesn't actually do a whole lot, it's only when we start starving that we get penalties from it. Still, horn fruit is also the favourite food of insectoids. They'll get stat bonuses if they eat enough of it. Okay. And our first piece of armour, I'm going to give that to Nosferatu on the simple grounds that she is not nearly so durable by default as Aino is. Check her stats, she only has 15 vitality. Okay, she actually has more vitality because I didn't bother giving Aino any, since Minotaurs already start with +4 just from being Minotaurs. But I should also comment on how I'm building the characters. I've got the guides that people have given me, so I'm going to be using those as guides, as it were. Oh. Our first enemy, I'll just quickly explain that. Grid-based movement again, so it's much built around getting side onto enemies and not leaving yourself in their path. Zimboy is going to be the staff for a long time because mages start out more powerful by simple virtue of getting full blast. That said, he did use up nearly a third of his energy on one turtle. Yes, the way I'm building the characters, I'm using the guides I was given as a guide. So Nosferatu is always going to be light weapons and primarily focused on dodging, but I will get more skill points than is necessary just to max out those two, so I'm also going to be putting maybe into light armors for her. Similarly, Aino is going to be getting heavy weapons, armor, probably some accuracy to make up for a low dexterity by default. Azanaka is alchemy, firearms, probably also accuracy so I don't keep missing. Zimboy, fire and air, probably some concentration so he can equip better mage weapons. Turtles, the very first enemy of the game, and as such are about as difficult as you'd expect. Also on the note of my prior knowledge, I'm not going to be cheating in that I won't do things before I could possibly know about them. There's the chest I thought I knew about. The one exception is I am going to be using spells before I find the scrolls for them, because otherwise Zimboy would just be sitting there doing absolutely nothing until I finally found the scroll that tells me just press this button to do fire burst, this one to do shock. You could reasonably find out those two just by randomly spamming buttons, which most people would be doing anyway. It's going to be a little bit before we find a firearm, so I'm just going to use these darts, which, oh, they're actually great. They scale off strength, but his high dexterity means he'll actually hit with them at least. Worth getting armor on the frontliners more than anybody else. Only the two enemies who are facing the tile that's getting attacked are hit by regular physical attacks, which means that I can pretty much concentrate all my armor on Aino and Nosferatu. And so long as I don't screw everything up, Azanaka and Zimboy shouldn't even get hit. It's going to be quite a while. It's going to be a little while before we actually find an enemy that worries me. Tortoises are not a problem. They're mostly just an easy source of food because they drop turtle states. They've not got flippers, they're tortoises. As we can see from the map, I actually missed a spot back there, which I think is the one and only spot on the beach I actually did have to go. Yep, there's the key. By the way, I do apologise if the very sudden jarring movement like that is a little disorienting. I can understand how it would be. Yep, I just did that. And our first puzzle. Oh yeah, there's a free look camera. It's not tremendously useful. If we turn on this button, nothing much happens. If we turn on this one, the gate opens, but it turns out that one closes it. So what we have to do is take any old thing, something I don't care about, a lone ether weed. And now because I pressed that, without pressing that one again, we're through. Hello. Come on, hurry up so I can just say goodbye. That was going to be cool. We've got ourselves a letter. I'm not sure what resolution you're looking at this at, so I'm just going to read them out. Dear visitor, welcome to my island. I hope your journey was not too detrimental to your health. I think you will find this island to be the most wonderful yet the most perilous place on Earth. I don't have high hopes about your survival, but maybe you can prove me wrong. Better equip yourself before the night falls. The Island Master. He's going to be leaving us a lot of these notes because the Island Master is kind of a jerk. Also, it's almost certainly his fault that we crashed in the first place. Though we were prisoners, so I'm not entirely sure how upset about that we are. As this says, if we touch this, health and energy is restored to full, as well as bring any characters who are dead back to life. And this is also when we'd officially learn how to cast Fireburst, which I've just been spamming already. Well, that was a waste of time. I think this is the only time in the game they do that trick where they got the knives embedded in the tree. Turtles do not have a great hit chance, which you might have noticed I haven't actually been hit by one of them yet. X marks the spot. Make an X, and the gate opens up. And this one doesn't close behind us, so I'm going to pick up my precious rocks again. It's worth keeping a load of junk in your inventory just so you can hold down buttons. Oh! Meet the Zarkton. It's the first enemy I could be persuaded to worry about. As you can see, he's got that little leaping stab attack. He's also got another trick. You may notice I beat all the turtles by stepping to the side of them and hitting them. Boo! Oh. Boo! No? This one's not cooperating. There we go. They try and jump backwards if you get side onto them. They are, however, weak to lightning. You might have noticed the damage number was red, and also he actually stabbed Amo. So he's doing better than every single turtle up to this point. Red damage numbers means hurting them, green damage means it's healing them. White is just your standard, not critical. So yeah, Zimboy is far and away the greatest damage dealer for them, but he's also burned up all of his energy and doing nothing now. So I'm actually going to give him some rocks. So if nothing else, we can throw things at people. Oh. The problem with throwing weapons having to fetch them if you miss. Ano in their dainty bonnet. See, if this was us, he'd have committed a suicidal mistake backing into a corner, and I really shouldn't face tank like this. But it's just a lone Zarkton, so we can pull it off. This is how long it takes when Zimboy can't actually hit them. Yeah, and that's why you shouldn't face tank. I lost half my HP just to a single enemy. I'm giving all of my herbs to Azanaka. His trait as an alchemist is that herbs will eventually multiply in his inventory, so he'll be able to reuse them. Windgate Terminus East. Well, that's a Windgate. It's a teleporter. Oh yeah, just in case you hadn't noticed, the reason Zimboy's hands are glowing in the picture is that he's a wizard, and that means he can cast. So if I click on his hands instead of smacking things. What else? Because we're in the back row, you can't actually hit with melee attacks. There is a perk you can get to do that. I think it's if you put a couple of points in critical. No, it's if you put it in accuracy at second skill level. Come on. I'm trying to conserve energy because you can see those Zarktons up before, and we're going to have to fight them in a second. Sack! Sacks are inordinately useful because they have 9 inventory slots, which is very handy. And this sling is actually the first missile weapon in the game. Unfortunately, we also don't have a missile weapon user. You can put things through grates. Dagger is a light weapon, of course, so Nosferatu gets a big upgrade. Actually, is the club even a healing weapon? Heavy weapon? It is. Heavy weapons, they have a really slow start, but they've got a much better end game than the light weapons do, I find. Why did I do that? Oh, I just realised. If I'd stayed there, I had the potential to be flanked with nowhere to move. And you saw how much damage I took from one enemy being in front of us. Getting into a corner is pretty much how you die in this game. 11 damage. She was doing 1 to the turtles before. Yeah, I'm not doing that again. Look at you, you flashy git. And a crate. The crate is the big brother of the sack. As you can see, it's got 4 slots. 4 by 4. At the Lone Oak, in the shadow of the blue light, I buried it. Captain Kilhagen. Anyway, it's got a shovel, a smoked sea bass, a scroll of poison cloud, poison earth magic is trash and you should never ever use it, and a rapier. Which means you just got a second upgrade. You are going through these things awfully quickly. I am going to build her as a dual wielding. You can see here you need to get 3 points in light weapons before you can dual wield, and one of them has to be a dagger, but fortunately she has got a dagger. The one problem with wooden boxes is they weigh 3 kilograms each, compared to the 400 grams of the sack. However, Aino is inordinately strong. She can carry 103 kilograms. And I skipped over this sign before. The Legend of Kilhagen. The second most precious thing in life for a seafaring captain is his sword, because without it he cannot command his crew. Thus, upon losing his weapon somewhere on Shipwreck Beach, he loses what is most important to him, the respect of his crew. Fortunately, for Mr. Kilhagen here, we found his rapier. But blowed if he can keep it. That's hers now. I am going to go in there in a second. Because if you're very, well, not really observant, but if you are observant and you've got a good memory, we actually passed another statue, where we find this secret of a golden key. This will be important later. Also, as the note said, at the Lone Oak in the shadow of the blue light. That's a blue light, this is a Lone Oak, this is where its shadow would be cast. And he buried it, so let's use the shovel. The Embalmer's Robe. Protection +2, Vitality +1, it's for a frontliner. And as it turns out, Aino actually has lower vitality than Nosferatu, so she can have it. Let's give you both a healing potion for when things go wrong. Not if, things are going to go wrong. At some point I'm going to get back into a corner and get mullered. And here we are in the dark and dingy underground, with mysteriously burning torches. Zimboy only needs one hand to cast so he can carry the torch. Oop, a mummy. Hey, guess what mummies are weak to? Yes, they are inordinately flammable creatures. I'm sure I had another torch around here. And that includes the torch. Torches actually do fire damage. Throwing weapons other than rocks do stick in enemies, and until you kill them they'll actually be in there and you can't use them again. Unless you miss. That was just showing off. Torches actually don't count as any sort of weapon, so it's kind of reducing her strength, damage a bit. Maybe, I'm not sure. Either way, we level up, so Ano can have point in heavy weapons. I'd rather kill things quickly early on. Nosferatu for light weapons. Azanaka for firearms, because firearms are garbage and every single point makes them very slightly less garbage. And I'm actually going to start building concentration early because Zimboy is already dealing enough damage. And here we have the first firearm of the game, the flintlock. Here's why they're garbage. It's really a multiple problem. Firearms don't scale to anything, which is sort of good. It's basically why you can use them no matter who you are. But they have a chance of misfiring, basically doing nothing and having to go on cooldown again for no gains. Plus, their damage isn't that great. It's much better just to build somewhat up in the stat which is otherwise useful and also get scaling damage. Plus, their ammunition, as you can see here, I've got 20 shots. That's finite. There's a finite number of times I can fire my gun in the entire game. Anyway, as you can see here, that button closes the gate. That one opens it. It's a similar problem to before. We just need to hold this down so that we can't press it again as we go through. Never hurts to have a few more torches. See, 8 damage. I can only do 8 damage 20 times. And this is not a high level enemy. And I'm getting pinged on Discord. Hello UP, sorry I'm streaming. You got a key. Did I miss anything? Ah, I just remembered I did miss something, didn't I? This is something you've got to get used to if you play Grimrock. You have to have rampant suspicion, paranoia, and general poking around staring at every single wall you see. I'm fairly sure it's around here somewhere, the first hidden button secret of the game. Maybe the button 4 is actually in the next room, but... Oh, there it is. This one isn't terribly secret. Whoops. I did not expect to kill it that quickly. Okay, that was a hell of a critical, I'll give you that. It'll be a little while before I can actually do anything useful with these alchemy ingredients, but alchemists are broken. I'm going to get so much use out of Azanaka's alchemy. Unfortunately, this chest is locked, so we can't actually do a whole lot about it, but as you can see, the map automatically marked it for us. I'll just add a little note next to it. Come back with lockpicks. Now hopefully I'll remember to actually check my map and remember I have to come back here when I find some lockpicks. Let's use that key we found. Oh look, more mummies. I nearly stepped right, that would have been done. As you can see here, he's stopped. If I'd kept going, he'd have stepped in and boxed me in. And it jammed. I can't actually tell when it comes off cooldown, I just got to sort of sit here and wait and hope. Each point in firearms lowers the chance it'll misfire. The Horn of Summoning. Aside of making an incredible sound, it doesn't seem to do a great deal. Oh yeah, as it's telling me now I can move people around, but I like them the way they are. Click. And as these rocks open up, we can see we've actually got straight back to the shipwreck. So, let's heal up. It always lags. For some reason, saving via clicking on a crystal lags the game quite badly. And step into this suspiciously and worryingly empty arena. Also, this is what the gold key was for. Gold keys are actually interchangeable. There's heaps of these hidden around the world. This is our first gold key secret. Some more bullets. Another upgrade for Nosferatu. Light weapons come into their own very early on. This rapier actually scales to her strength while backed by the scales to her dex. As you can see, 6 versus 19. I'd much rather have this. Okay. Right here in the... Oh, just realized this probably says. Welcome to the location of your first challenge. When you're ready, stand in the circle and call out the Guardians. Yes. This is what the Horn of Summoning is for. I'm going to blow this and I'm going to run. Meet the Viper Roots. The first boss of the game. They don't move like other enemies do, they burrow up underneath. They try to come up on a tile that's adjacent. If I go alongside them, they dig down again. I've also got to be very careful that I don't... You see that tile next to him? Although that's the only one I can actually reach that isn't a direction that will bite me, it does risk me getting boxed in, and even more than usual, that's absolute suicide. Ow. So long as I keep moving, these two aren't actually all that bad, and if you stick in the center... Stop hitting Azanaka and Zimboid, they can't hit kids. It is quite difficult to focus fire on them due to the way they burrow. I can't tell which one I'm hitting. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, Zimboid did not enjoy that. Yep. Those sides around these two rocks are very bad places to go there. As you can see, there's only 2 spots either side of them, so it's very easy to get boxed in. Have I actually killed them? Blammo! The Viper Roots aren't a terribly difficult at first boss. And spoilers, they're actually that old game trope of being a late game enemy that you're fighting early as a boss. Anyway, that gets us a power gem. Those are going to be important later. I'm actually getting hungry, as you can see. Yellow hunger doesn't mean anything, it's just a warning that you're getting low. I forgot to actually drink this. It's a potion of strength. Permanently increases strength by 1. Because as we all know, the character who already had 22 strength clearly needs more. But she is actually the only character who does anything with her strength. That was the first area of the game. That was Shipwreck Beach. And now we're into the Twigroot Forest. And we get a sack with a mortar and pestle, which is what our alchemist is going to use. I see you have made some minor progress. Good, good. But don't let it get to your head. This is just the beginning. Or it could almost be the end. It depends entirely on you. Here's a tool you might find useful. Surely you can figure it out. Like I said, he's a bit of a prick. As this says, 1 blood drop cap makes a healing potion, 1 etherweed makes an energy potion. That's going to be immensely useful. That's why Azanaka as the alchemist is someone I was very happy to have, even with firearms. But since I've just completed the first major area, albeit the shortest in the game by an incredibly long margin, I think I'm actually going to wrap the first stream up. This was essentially a proof of concept to see if I could do it. So thank you for anyone who was watching. Thank you to anybody who's watching on the VOD. I'll create a save game and hopefully I can make a habit out of this. These can be called the stream team. Ignore that. That's not me. I'm playing on normal. Thank you all again. and I'll hopefully catch you again if I do this a second time.